Welcome back to another episode of Stacking Dennys. I'm Jordan McAbee of RotoBaller. My co-host Nick Giffen of the Action Network. Tyler Reddick goes back-to-back, gets the win at Atlanta in a very exciting and fun race to watch. Had some drama there at the end. Had a bad block by Bubba Wallace with the lead. We thought we might get Carson Hocevar's first win there for a second. We had Ross Chastain up there battling. A bad move by Carson Hocevar, which we all expected. But overall, a very exciting race at Atlanta, which we've come to expect. That's come to be, what Atlanta brings us. I know me, myself, initially, like a lot of other people, when they first announced the new Atlanta track and configuration, I said, this is going to be awful. I hate this. And now, I tweeted out during the race, I said, give me a 36 race season on this, because we can see what these cars and these guys will do when they're going all out. This is the potential that Daytona 500 could have had, but it didn't because it got stuck into fuel saving. Atlanta, we saw it. We saw guys get runs. We saw guys actually battling, competing in the race. Exciting race, exciting finish. Nick, what do you have to say about that race?
Yeah, it was a cool race. And what makes it cool is it's pretty cool throughout. There's track position is really important there, and fuel saving is out the window. You're not doing it there, so it makes the whole thing kind of exciting. A great race overall, and you see it in the incident rate, right? Like, there were 10 plus cautions, a red flag. That's stuff we don't get in these massive fuel saves at Daytona and Talladega. Even though Daytona's chaotic, it's chaotic at the end. Atlanta is kind of, I wouldn't say chaotic, but it's certainly busy throughout. And it's I don't know if aggressive is the right word, but everybody's still trying to fight their way to the front as much as possible. So I think that's what makes it different from Daytona and Talladega. And of course, Daytona and Talladega are different from each other. At least 500 is now, that we no longer have the cutoff deal winning in. But I think one thing that was really interesting to me was like the lower mid-tier guys outside of maybe Spire. They were just lower mid-tier guys the whole race. You didn't really see Ty Dillon mix it up in the top 10. You didn't see Todd Gilliland. Well, he was in an incident, but even when he was fine, he used to be so good at Atlanta and get out front, and he wasn't mixing it up in the top 10 or really like Noah Gragson was. A lot of that was track position, but even then it was the back half of the top 10. So we're starting to see some separation of teams at this place. And for example, RFK was just a mid-pack to back half of the, I thought they were doing some strategy at some point, which would make sense. Yeah. They were really saving fuel in the back, and then they all got to the front, but then they all just went back anyway, probably because they were on older tires and things like that. So it's tough to say, but I think we started to see a little bit of a stratification at Atlanta more than we have in the past between, team skills.
And I think that's one of the good things that separates Atlanta from Daytona and Talladega is there's still the dynamic of the better teams get to the front. Yes, we've seen Cody Ware come here and finish 17th at Atlanta, but it's not like he's not running there legitimately during the race. Like he could be at Daytona. Like we've seen him run like that at Daytona before. So yeah, it was, I think that's what makes Atlanta even better than Daytona and Talladega, in my opinion, because you get the best of both worlds. You get the teams that are up front that should be up front, and then you also get the aspect of the drafting track and all the strategy that goes along with that. But like you said, Spire, they were up there. Hocevar finished 4th. Daniel Suarez finished 5th. Suarez has a bunch of good finishes there at Atlanta. Good day for Spire Motorsports. Like I said, Ross Chastain finished 3rd. Chase Briscoe was up there at the end. He finished 2nd, kind of helped Tyler Reddick to the win. Like I said, Bubba Wallace was in the catbird seat to get a win. He just threw an awful block there on that final restart, which allowed his teammate to go 2 for 2. But yeah, overall, I would say not a great day for Ford outside of, Joey Logano was up there leading laps as he always does at Atlanta. But the
Cindric won stage 1 and led some laps.
Yeah, Cindric did. I forgot that, and then he wrecked out.
And then Blaney was running 3rd there at the end. But like, even then, Penske wasn't like super dominant. Actually, I thought Cindric was the best, Logano was second, and Blaney was third of the Penske's. But yeah, it was not a great day for Ford overall, just like we saw in the Daytona 500. We talked about this earlier. I didn't really think Ford, I mean, the most laps led by any Ford driver in the Daytona 500 was 9 by both Joey Logano and Zane Smith. And now we're looking at a second straight Ford race where their drivers didn't really lead a whole bunch of laps. I'm going through here. Logano led 26, Cindric
which
led
is low
21.
for him.
Yeah, and Cindric led 21, which is low for him, and Blaney led 6, right? So when you look at the past, I mean, these guys, I don't have the data right in front of me, but I know those guys have been some of the top lap leaders at Atlanta in single races in the past, sometimes even going over 100 laps led. So for them as a team to have between 50 and 60 is kind of a solid downgrade for them.
Mm-hmm. Agree 100%. Like you said, RFK just seemed to be out to lunch, especially Buescher. That car was not good all day at all, to the point where, you know, I think they were tweeting out that they were making major adjustments on it, which is never anything you want to hear at a drafting track like that. But as far as Ford, Zane Smith comes away with the 7th place finish. He was the top finishing Ford. Couple other notables from this race. We have to talk about Kyle Larson and his insanely stupid move that he made. Just no track awareness whatsoever. Wow, that was bad.
Greatest driver on the planet, huh?
I mean, I still defend Kyle Larson quite a bit for being so good, but man, there's a lot of these. It's getting harder. You know, it's kind of like people that are defending Carson Hocevar saying he's just going for it, when in reality he's just making stupid decision after stupid decision.
Which he made a few, on Sunday as well. Hocevar did, but got away with them in some cases. And like the block in the end on Bubba Wallace was just completely uncalled for. But I mean, yeah, Larson, just a huge mistake there. But it all comes right back to this kind of stratification. Like at least Larson was running up front, competing up front.
He led 48 laps.
Hocevar come through the field again, and like he did at the beginning of the race, he came through the field at the end of the race because he went, laps down. And we're talking about these skill things. Yeah, Larson led 48 laps and only ran 160. Like he had the highest, I think, lap led percentage compared to laps run of any driver. And Hocevar, right? So we're seeing skill shine through once again here. And I think it's incredibly notable because it's just one of those things where your Bradley Herbst, your I'm just scrolling through here, your Cole Custers, your like even Michael McDowell wasn't really getting up there, getting into the mix. Suarez wasn't until he had those fresh tires at the end, those kinds of stuff. Like AJ Allmendinger wasn't in the mix anymore, a little bit towards the back half of the top 10, similar with Gragson. But like it was the big names, the big teams, other than, of course, Penske getting a little downgrade. So really what it comes down to is it's HMS, Toyota 2311 JGR, not so much legacy. And then we saw Trackhouse mix it up, SVG for sure. Also got up there. Good. I mean, Larson came across SVG's nose, right? So we saw Trackhouse mixing it up. Spire could, if they were talented driver or on clean tires, that kind of stuff. But we're absolutely seeing the stratification. And when you say big teams like HMS, you see Alex Bowman just never really cracked the top 10. Is he in trouble? He didn't have a great Daytona 500. Now that one wasn't really as much his fault, but is he in trouble? Like he, over the past 2 seasons, not counting this year, but over the past 2 seasons at Atlanta had been, prior to damaged laps, had been a top 5 or 6 car for the last 4 races on average.
Yeah. And overall, I mean, Byron and Larson were great, but I feel like Chase and Bowman especially were lacking a bit for HMS. And I'm pretty sure that Byron and Larson are in the same, like those two are in the same garage area. And then it's Chase and Bowman, like for HMS. I think it's
but Chase got out front and led 11 laps and looked good.
Yeah. He also started
fifth in both stages. Finished 5th in both stages.
Yeah.
So.
It was just, and it kind of brings me to my other point I was thinking about, because I don't think it's a talent issue with Bowman in HMS. Now, is there questions of maybe he's not getting the best equipment? Maybe he's on his way out. I mean, those rumors have been flying for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But now we look at 2311. Okay, so Tyler Reddick wins the first 2 races of the year. Bubba Wallace is up there. I think he's second in points now. And obviously he won Indy last year. He's been in contention to win several times over the year. And then in a completely different stratosphere, we have Riley Herbst. And it makes you wonder why or what. Like, it's been a while since we've had this big of a gap between teammates, right? Like, Herbst is I understand he's young, but I can't remember where it's been this much of a gap. Like, you have legitimate Reddick could potentially win the championship this year. They're already saying it. I think it's way too early to say it. Bubba Wallace, we've talked about in previous seasons, he could be a top 8 contender. Herbst is lucky to crack the top 30. It's just, is he just keeping the seat warm for like a Corey Heim, which I saw that rumor going the other day that Heim could be adding in? What is this?
There's a lot of things. I mean, Riley Herbst brings a shit ton of money. Family money, right. Sponsor money. That is the number one driver of things in NASCAR is money. And Riley Herbst has all the money in the world to be able to do this and a team like 2311 needs that money, right? They're not Hendrick Motorsports yet. They're not Joe Gibbs Racing yet, even though they have the affiliate with Joe Gibbs Racing. They still pay Joe Gibbs Racing for that affiliation, for that alliance, that technical alliance. I think it came out in court or something like they pay Joe Gibbs Racing several $1 million a year for that technical alliance. So they need that money. So what I think is, right, Legacy's getting a 3rd charter next year because of the Rick Ware lawsuit stuff, and RFK might be losing that one. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but there's a lot of moving parts and pieces. But what if Denny retires and Tyler goes to the big team? And then Heim goes into 2311, still has 3, and then Riley Herbst is still safe, right? Or what if Heim just goes to Legacy, right? So either way, it seems like Riley Herbst is probably safe there, and it's a good thing for him because he brings a shit ton of money.
And unfortunately, that's, like you said, that's the driving factor for, I mean, especially in the lower series, but and now apparently in Cup. Speaking of 2311, though, and speaking of this comment here about the LeBron of NASCAR, the real GOAT, Michael Jordan, was once again in attendance.
I love it. Yeah,
this past weekend, which I think is good for the sport. Seeing Michael Jordan there at Daytona, at Atlanta, like, Atlanta's not a big race. I didn't expect him to be there, but he was there. They got another win. I think overall that's good for the sport once again, to have the real GOAT on pit road.
Yes, I agree. And it's huge because he brings such a mainstream audience and things like that. And, somebody was saying, I don't know if it was on Twitter or where I saw it, but somebody was like, Michael Jordan does all these interviews because he's a famous person with various things, whether it's basketball or news outlets, just for other news or whatever. But when he's being interviewed by NASCAR people at the NASCAR track, that's when he seems the most genuinely happy. And that is so huge, right? Like, that's just massive for our sport. And I'm glad the lawsuit stuff is behind, and we can, literally Michael Jordan has changed the sport for the better. And he is so enthusiastic about the sport. It's awesome. It's infectious, and it's exciting to have. And, hopefully he and 2311 can stick around for a long time to come, because it's absolutely a great thing for our sport, and really glad to see they're winning. And Bubba Wallace, I know he's 0 for 2, but he had a shot to win both of those races as well, right? Like, that we could be easily talking about Bubba Wallace being 2 for 2 instead of Tyler Reddick 2 for 2. It didn't work out. Maybe some wrong moves were made towards the end and things like that. But I mean, we could even be talking about Riley Herbst winning the Daytona 500 if things played out just a touch differently. So 2311 has to be absolutely thrilled. But again, these are drafting tracks. We'll see what happens when we get to the meat and potatoes of the schedule,
Yeah, which is a place that they, relatively speaking, struggled at last year. Do you remember back to Kansas where they always had great race cars? They did not do very good at Kansas last year. They seem to have lost it, but definitely a good start for them early in the year. That's the new conspiracy theory going around, is that because of the lawsuit, now they were gifted 2 wins to start the year. Just stupid bullshit that always goes around like that. But yeah, like you said, Reddick, 2 wins in a row. Bubba Wallace, a great start to the year. Let's talk about guys with not that great starts to year. Ty Gibbs with another bad finish. Josh Berry finished last in this race. Kyle Busch had another bad race. Let me pull up the point standings here.
I mean, Alex Bowman.
Mm-hmm. Alex Bowman.
Yeah. It's a couple. I mean, but that's also super speedway racing and drafting track racing. It's like that's just going to happen sometimes. You can get caught up in incidents through no fault of your own. Connor Zilic ran really well in both races.
Both races
of 33rd and 30th, right? Like it's not his fault. I mean, wrong place, wrong time. So it's less about how bad you've finished. I'm more worried about those that are running bad, even in the draft. Like relative to his teammates, Alex Bowman has been running bad. Honestly, I thought Ty Gibbs looked really strong. He got caught up in that first wreck. Things went a little weird. Like both he and I forget who it was, Josh Berry, were kind of trying to change lanes. It just sucks. One of those racing deals, nobody at fault. But Ty Gibbs was moving up through the field. He was up inside the top 15, 14, 13. And moving forward, I thought he was going to have a really good day. And then it just ended. Because he's always been strong at Atlanta, and his team was strong at Atlanta this weekend. It just didn't work out. So one of those deals where, again, like I thought Ty Gibbs ran really well. Denny Hamlin, he finished 13th, but he was somewhat up front. Like he's rebounded a little bit at both of the super speedway races in terms of where he's been running, right? He was running near the front when he got wrecked by Allgaier, essentially at the front. So yeah, I think it's less about the finishes. I mean, bad day is a bad day. You don't like it for the points, but as far as how you're running, I think it's less about the finishes and more about what did you show?
So here's a question for you. I agree 100%, by the way. Here's a question for you. During the race, I tweeted it out a couple times. People monitoring points as they run, which is absolutely insane. Like in the middle of race 2 of the year is absolutely nuts. But on the flip side, how early do these teams that get off to bad starts hit the panic button? Because right now, Christopher Bell is sitting 31st in points. He's a full 100 points behind already. Mm-hmm. Tyler Reddick. Yeah, Denny Hamlin is 27th.
But also, when was the last time somebody won the first 2 races to start the season? And now we have this 15-point bonus for the race win, or whatever it is, extra, points for the race win. I mean, it hasn't been since 2009 since somebody won the first 2 races of the year. So comparing him, how far he is behind to Reddick is a little bit different because he's only 60 points behind Bubba Wallace.
Mm-hmm. Valid point. Yeah, Bubba's a full 40 behind Reddick. So yeah, I'll give you that. But from the points gap, and obviously it's gonna change.
And the target is 16th, right? Bell's only 20 points out of 16th. Like he's in no danger of missing the playoffs.
Yep. That's valid. But a couple more, like he gets spun here at COTA and then maybe blows an engine at Phoenix. Hey.
Yeah, and then you're in that Keselowski situation from last year, right? Where
exactly.
He had like 5 DNFs in the first 6 or something bullshit.
Yep. That's kind of what I'm worried about because like we saw it last year with Kez. So it's certainly possible.
Well, what I think it does is it make things exciting because we have these 2 races to start the year. And it does put some of these big name teams and drivers in a hole. Whereas if we had like, for example, race number 1 being Phoenix and race number 2 being Richmond or something, it would be a lot more reason to panic if Bell was in 31st after that than after this.
And you bring up a good point about these first 2 races. Kudos, I don't do this often, but kudos to NASCAR and kudos to Fox for putting Atlanta right after Daytona, because you have this new set of fans potentially from Daytona that are going to tune in the next week just to see it. And like I said, Atlanta's the best between Atlanta and Kansas. Those 2 are the best tracks on the schedule right now. So these potential new fans just got an absolute banger of a race number 2. which can only potentially keep them going the rest of the year, or at least, a full month in, which is what you want people to do. You want people to continue watching 4 weeks, 6 weeks, and get into that routine.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think that's been a really smart move. And the only issue is, it's mid-late February. We could absolutely see an Atlanta ice storm at this time of year. I remember
it was 40 degrees there.
Yeah, I remember growing up in Virginia, and we had the blizzard of, what was it, 93 or something, or 96. We had a blizzard of 93 and 96, but one of those blizzards was in March. So, Atlanta absolutely could get a random ice storm this time of year and shut everything down. But, we did see the big rain the day before that washed out qualifying. So that was interesting because we didn't get to see how these cars qualified. I was looking forward to that, to see if the Ford still had the big edge here or if Chevy had made gains, because we saw it at Daytona, but Atlanta's different, right? And I think you and I went over qualifying last week for this race, and it was like Ford for these two Atlanta races. Mm-hmm. We were laughing about it because we just kept saying Ford like we were stuck on repeat. And I was really interested in qualifying for that, but we didn't get to that. So one of those things. But I agree. I to your larger point, big home run there for NASCAR to have this race right after Daytona, get the excitement going, and then see where the chips fall. And the TV ratings came out. I don't know if you saw that, but pretty much flat, which is good considering we went up against the Olympic closing ceremonies for some of it. So it's one of those things where probably didn't detract that much, but it also probably explains the tiny gap drop that we had. So I would say flat year over year, which isn't a bad thing considering it had been like down in the last handful of years. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're gonna get the naysayers every time there's a dip without actually examining the full scope of it. That's just I don't even look at the comments on that. I see the main tweet from, I think, what's his name, Adam Stern usually posts that. I don't even look at the comments anymore because it's just a cesspool of miserable people. But
NASCAR fans love being the most miserable people.
You can't please them.
I watch IndyCar religiously. You know me. IndyCar fans aren't miserable people. There's certainly some in there, but like by and large, as a whole, the IndyCar community is excited. We want better for our sport at times, but it's only when big fuck ups happen, like the Penske cheating scandal, like that kind of shit. I'm obviously an NFL fan, and people aren't that pessimistic about the NFL. Well, sure, we might all watch a Thursday night game and be like, my God, this game is fucking terrible. But we're not like, the NFL is ruined. NASCAR is the most doom and gloom fan base of all time. I don't think that's a question.
It's just baffling. It's crazy. Speaking of Ford, you were jumping back to these point standings. 6 of the top 12 were Fords in the point standings,
which is wild.
Zane Smith is 5th in points.
Hell yeah.
And when we talk about growing the sport, I think this could be a double-edged sword here. Because right now you have Bubba Wallace is a big name, so I'm going to leave him out of this. But you have Carson Hocevar, who's 4th in points, Zane Smith, who's 5th in points, Daniel Suarez, who I understand he's popular, but he's not good, 7th in points. Noah Gragson is 12th in points. You have the potential for these guys to grow their fan bases, because typically new fans will either go with like the popular drivers or they'll go with the good drivers. The guy, like, I'm sure Tyler Reddick gained a lot of new fans these last 2 weeks if they were new to NASCAR, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Does these lower guys, I think Zane Smith has a bunch of talent, but at the same time, he's very limited by his equipment. If you're going to say I'm a Zane Smith fan, are we setting up some of these new fans for disappointment in the future by becoming fans of these? And don't get me wrong, I love being my favorite driver right now is Todd Gilliland.
Yeah,
I love the underdog drivers, but are we setting them up for disappointment? It's just,
well, Okay, so two things. We're both Todd Gilliland fans. Like my favorite driver right now, too, Todd Gilliland. But my second, I think, might be. Well, I have a lot of seconds, but outside of Todd Gilliland, I think my second might be like Tyler and Bubba, Denny and Zane, right? Like, so Zane's right up there for me too. Which, Zane is dead to you, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
So you're asking, are they setting up for disappointment? I mean, you've literally only been disappointed by Zane, even though he's fifth in the point standings. No, but Zane is extremely talented, obviously. I mean, he's a truck champion, and he was a dominant, truck champion. Maybe not Corey Heim dominant, but also he wasn't in the same equipment that Heim was in. He was in the something else, I forget. But like, I mean, Zane's super talented. We know Noah's talented. I just don't think Noah has what it takes to be the most professional of all time. But we know he has raw talent. It takes more. I
don't know if the Cup Series is for him.
Yeah, I agree. Like he
could be a Justin Allgaier where he's meant for Xfinity.
No, because he's nothing like Justin Allgaier. Allgaier, which of course I say that after Allgaier threw the horrible block at Daytona, but like I do think Allgaier is incredibly professional, not as aggressive. He can be aggressive, but he's more like selectively aggressive, whereas Noah just is raw aggression. Noah is more like your Carson Hocevar, except he doesn't take it as seriously as Hocevar does it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Hocevar, he's still a big goofball piece of shit, in my opinion. Way too controversial, but at least he keeps refining his craft and doing it at the top level. And Noah has just, in my opinion, has not done that. And he hasn't shown enough improvement, enough ability to at the Cup level to take his raw talent and refine it and put it to work. He just always seems like he's just trying to have fun. And whereas Hocevar, he's trying to have fun, but also improve his racecraft.
Hocevar is another one of those guys, piggybacking off of the schedule change and Atlanta being 2, and I think that's good. I think Carson Hocevar is good for the sport because he's so polarizing. Because there's nobody in the middle.
Him, but he's good for the sport. I agree.
There is. You either hate him or you love him. There's no in between whatsoever. And
you said you were rooting for Carson Hocevar, rooting for Hocevar.
I was
there. I was like, that is the sickest thing I've ever heard.
I find myself rooting for Hocevar a lot. Like he does some shitty things, but I want to see the guy win. I want to see the guy win. I want to see what the crowd reaction is going to be when he wins. And it's all going to depend on how he wins, right? Because if he dumps Chase Elliott for a win, boos everywhere.
What about the next time
Joey Logano for a win? Oh, yeah.
He's always been getting booed, but after this offseason, and I should say the last race of the season when everybody was pissed that Denny didn't win the championship. Yeah. And then the offseason, the lawsuit, his the fire. Is Denny Hamlin going to be the most popular victory in years? Like, it's going to be a complete 180. Him and Kyle Busch, how they have gone from liked to hated to like the way that typically you stay. It's like WWE. You either stay face or heel, and sometimes some guys switch, but those guys are just constant getting different reactions from I can't
fans.
Stand Hocevar's personality. I think it's obnoxious as hell. It's not funny. It's not engaging. It's just annoying and obnoxious.
But is he the only driver with a personality outside?
He's up there minus a few.
I think Bubba has a personality. But Tyler Reddick doesn't have a personality. Chase Elliott doesn't have a personality.
It depends. Like Ross has a personality, but I don't think people understand Ross's personality.
Ross had a lot better personality 2 years ago.
I disagree. I think it's just I think his personality 2 years ago was getting in wrecks and stuff and punching Noah Gragson, but his actual personality hasn't changed. People just don't understand his personality. But I agree with you. There's very few drivers with a charisma or an aura or a personality. Hocevar is one of them. I agree with it, and I can't stand it. I don't like his. I like other drivers with personalities that way better personalities. Your Bubba Wallace's.
Denny Hamlin has a really good personality.
Denny Hamlin, absolutely. I mean, hell, he has his own podcast, and it's he talks about everything, and he's controversial. So absolutely, he has a personality. But there's very few right now. I mean, Gilliland and Austin Cindric have personality, but it's more on the goofball side, and they're not famous drivers, so they're not as recognized for their personalities because they're not running up front or creating controversy like Carson Hocevar is. But those guys do have personalities. They're just not the ones that people tend to see. SVG, a bit of a personality there, to him. Gregson has a personality. I mean, he does it kind of just falls by the wayside because he's so bad.
You look at, and that's
so
a big
need
part
the combination
of
personality and talent
and being very good. Like when you look at William Byron does not have a personality.
The only thing he has is he wanted to date Sabrina Carpenter or something, and he messaged her on Twitter.
Yeah. Who else here? Chase Briscoe really doesn't have a personality.
I like him, and I don't think he has a personality.
Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson is one I'm on the fence.
Boring. Yeah, I think he's boring.
But then his wife shows up in victory lane and shotguns a beer, and I'm like, maybe he could have fun. He's one that but Christopher Bell. To me, Christopher Bell does not have a personality. Plus, he looks like he's 12 years old.
Yeah, Kyle Busch has a personality. It's just he's getting old.
Yeah. Well, and he can't back it up on Sundays anymore, right?
No, exactly.
You need to have the results to back up the good personality.
Yeah, from the elite drivers, there aren't many. We talked about Bubba. We talked about Denny. And I'm not saying Hocevar's elite, but at least he contends for potentially wins these days. And he would be elite in elite equipment, in my opinion. But yeah, there's not many elite drivers with personality at all. I think Ross has one. I think it's misunderstood. But I think he absolutely has a personality. Actually, I'm a pretty big Ross fan too. I would list him in my second tier of drivers of favorites. I love Ross. I think he's fun. But plus he is or was dating. I don't know if I'm sure you don't, but I watch the show Farmer Wants a Wife.
Why did you immediately assume I don't? I don't, by the way.
I just kind of figured you didn't. It was just a random
I've said I was gonna watch it as a joke once, but I never have.
It's not a great show, but it's I think it's hilariously bad. But he's dating a girl who was on there who dated one of the farmers and was down to the final two and got kicked out. At least he was dating her. I don't know if they still are, but I'm sure my girlfriend would know more about this. But she keeps up with it on the socials and stuff. But yeah, they were dating. And of course, he's a watermelon farmer, so it counts because she was dating an avocado farmer or something on that show. So, I think Ross has some personality.
Yeah. Here's a good comment. Hocevar will never win a super speedway race. No one will ever push him to a win.
Disagree. Ross was committed to pushing him to the win. It just didn't work out because Bubba threw a block on Hocevar, which ruined them both.
Yeah, I don't think it would take a perfect scenario, but I don't think it's impossible for him to get pushed to a win.
Ross said it in his interview. I was committed to pushing Hocevar to the win.
Mm-hmm.
He literally just straight up said it in the post-race interview.
Well,
I actually disagree with that because there's direct evidence from 2 days ago that a driver was willing to do that. And that doesn't count the fact that Suarez is right up there and could have pushed him to the win as well because Suarez is a teammate. And Suarez wants to win. He'll push Hocevar as far as he can until the finish line and then try to pass him, essentially. But Suarez is going to be a good teammate in that situation as well. So I don't fully agree with that comment because I think there's absolutely direct evidence from 2 days ago.
And I think someone like Kyle Busch would actually push Hocevar to the win after Saturday too.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
The truck race.
Chase Elliott, Hocevar pushed Chase Elliott to the dual win or something. Just committed to him. I saw at one point, I don't know if it was Daytona or this past weekend, Chase Elliott committed to Hocevar as a return favor. So if he starts doing these professional things, that will come full circle back to him. So ever is really strong. In the immediate future, the pool is pretty narrow, but even in the immediate future, there are people that will do it.
And I even saw, forget where I saw it. It was an interview with Blaney, and they said he must have got wrecked by Hocevar, and he's like, oh yeah, he texted me the next day and apologized. And he's like, I responded to him. Well, first they said, was it a blanket apology like he sent it to 15 other people, or did it actually have your name in it? And he said that Blaney said that he told or responded to Hocevar by saying, you know, apologizing like this does a lot, you know, when you admit your faults. And, you know, it's the same story as always with Hocevar. Is he going to learn from it? Is he not? And it's just time will tell. Yeah. You know, I don't think he's learning not to race the way he is, but maybe how he handles it afterward is where it's going to make a difference and where he could get pushed to a win.
Absolutely.
But with that being said, would he get pushed to the lead and then they abandon him to try to get their own win? I think that's more likely.
But that's everybody on pretty much everything, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So it's tough. I do think he's honestly been earning some favors with at least the Chevys, which I think is smart. Like, you're not going to sit there and try to push Bubba Wallace to win. There would be no point. You're going to throw a block on Bubba Wallace, as he did. He threw a horrible block on Bubba after Bubba threw the horrible block on him. So, you know, goes around, comes around stuff there. But it's just one of those things where if you're a good Chevy, the Chevys will work with you. And I think it's, you know, one of those deals where manufacturers come into play. And as bad as I think the manufacturers work together at Daytona, outside of, you know, Herbst essentially pushing Reddick to the win, but then trying to get his own win, I thought the manufacturers worked really well together at Atlanta. I thought the Chevys worked well with the Chevys, the Toyotas worked well with the Toyotas, and we saw the Penske's work well with the Penske's. So I thought that was a notable change from Daytona.
Mm. You mentioned manufacturers, and I have to throw this in there. Kind of off topic, but not really. Did you see that Keelan Harvick got signed by Toyota to a developmental deal?
People are making way too big a deal of this, because
you know, that at that point it comes down to who threw the most money at him, right?
Sure. But do we even know Keelan Harvick is going to be a Kevin Harvick? What if he's just you know, who was a bad second generation driver, right? Like, he could just be that. People are acting like he's the next coming of Jesus or something based off their reactions today on Twitter. I'm not saying overall, but like, I saw tweets like, huge news, massive news. I'm like, I don't really think it's that massive. It's just news. It's just news. I mean,
Kerry Earnhardt, right?
Yeah.
Like
Jeffrey Earnhardt.
Yeah.
I know there's a whole lineage there. Marco Andretti did not live up to Michael or Mario Andretti, right? Like that stuff. Like, he could just be like, man.
Yeah. I agree. It's all getting blown out of proportion. It's something for people to talk about. And yeah, I mean, when you at face value, it's like, okay, that kind of doesn't make sense. But at the same time, Toyota's the ones that are heavily investing into the future stars. I mean, you look at like the Corey Himes of the world, like Toyota's heavily backed behind them. And I think Toyota's doing that for a reason. They want the top talent.
Yeah, but I think everybody's doing that. I mean, you see Chevy, HMS investing in, maybe rightly or wrongly, in guys like Corey Day. You know, you see Ford, they've always were super active in investing in drivers, especially in the, you know, the Brad Keselowski racing days and things like that.
Okay.
But yes, I think there's a lot of investment by all three manufacturers in drivers.
So that brings up a good point, because, you know, when we look at the tiers of NASCAR, Truck Series, Xfinity, or O'Reilly Series, and then Cup Series, there is 2 Fords in the O'Reilly Series, and there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Toyotas. Every other car is a Chevy.
Yep.
And that like as a Ford Racing fan, you have to be concerned about that, right? As far as the future.
I mean, it's not like Keselowski, RFK is going anywhere. It's not like Penske's going anywhere for the Cup side of things.
But I mean, Keselowski's going to retire soon.
Yeah, but he'll still own the team. I mean, he didn't buy into the team to just leave after he retires driving.
But without the development pipeline coming in, who are they going to get to drive?
I mean,
or are they just going to poach from other teams?
I think that's the natural thing. If you have more Cup cars than there are lower series cars, right? Like you can't have 25 Chevys in O'Reilly Auto Parts series. I'm just going to keep calling it Xfinity. Like I'm going to call it.
I was going to say it's so tough.
Or Nationwide or Busch. Like I would rather call it all of those things other than O'Reilly's.
I won't get that right till the All-Star
25
race.
Chevys in Xfinity. And there's only 19 Chevys in the Cup Series. There's going to be poaching going on. That's just how it goes. Mm-hmm. I mean, Tyler Reddick, he was a Chevy. He was, I think, at one point a Ford in his career. Camping World Truck Series, raced for Brad Keselowski Racing in a Ford for 3 years in the Truck Series. Then he goes to the Xfinity in a Chevy, and then goes to the Cup Series in a Chevy, and then moves to Toyota. It's just the whole manufacturer loyalty is great and all, but it's a little more blown out of, again, I'm not trying to use blown out of proportion. It's more like it matters to certain drivers more than it does other drivers. Like I wouldn't say Tyler Reddick is a loyalist to any manufacturer based off his career. There might be a few like Dale Jr. who are loyalists to a certain manufacturer, and there's certainly certain fan bases that are loyal to certain manufacturers, but by and large, a lot of drivers are going to go for whatever they can get to the Cup Series. You know what I mean? And we didn't even talk about the fact that Dodge is literally investing in the future as well. They ran a competition for young drivers across all these different minor league disciplines, not even the National Series of NASCAR, to get a National Series ride in the Truck Series. So if we're talking about investing in the future, I mean, all four are doing it. It's just in different ways.
Valid point. But yeah, I remember seeing a tweet about the Xfinity race Saturday and the low number of Fords, and I was like, "There's no way that can be right." But yeah,
we'll get top Ford on that.
Yeah, no shit.
It's just a head-to-head.
God, that's funny. All right. Anything left from you from Atlanta or the point standings?
I mean, I think the points are, I wouldn't say relevant, but not really worried about them. I will say of the 36 chartered cars, Connor Zilisch, the most heralded rookie since Sliced Bread and or Jeff Gordon, is dead last. But again, not his fault. He's run incredibly well, and he could win this weekend at COTA. But I mean, I don't have a lot to add. I think Atlanta was really interesting because, I mean,
I'll tell you what, Connor Zilisch, I've been so heavy on him the first 2 weeks in DFS, and that's why, like,
it sucks.
When you said he's been running well and not finishing, I'm like, oh, trust me, Nick, I know.
Same. I mean, I was heavy on him in both weeks as well. I didn't play a ton for Atlanta, but I played a handful, 5 or so lineups. I entered your contest. I think I had Zilisch in your. I think you and I had the exact same lineup, other than one driver in your contest. Really? Yeah.
He's a few more bad races to getting on my dead to me list, which takes a bit. But like you said, there is talk about him potentially dethroning SVG at COTA this weekend. But I think you were going to make one more point there.
Yeah. I was just going to say, like, Eric Jones didn't show up at Atlanta, right? And John Hunter Nemechek didn't show up at Atlanta. It's just these things where I think it's important to remember Atlanta is changing, and the big teams, names, drivers are coming to the front. It may also be type dependent, right? Like certain still exceedingly good super speedway drivers are coming to the front, but Eric Jones is an exceedingly good super speedway driver, and he was nowhere the whole day. We've seen John Hunter Nemechek be great at Daytona and Talladega, nowhere all day. So we're really starting to see stratification in Atlanta. I think that's going to matter a lot going forward for next Atlanta, right? Which is still in the regular season and could be important. And when we're thinking about betting and DFS lineups, less so DFS, but certainly betting, something to really think about.
Mm-hmm. One last thing on Atlanta. I need to know why. And he was going to be my 36 for 36 pick last week, and I chickened out. AJ Allmendinger and his ability to just finish in the top 12. 12th again this last week.
Say it again. I clicked on an accidental video by mistake, and it was blasting into my ears.
No, I was saying AJ Allmendinger. This needs to be studied, how he's just so good on this new Atlanta. He hasn't finished worse than 16th. 12th again this last weekend.
But again, it was one of those, like, he avoided calamity. He wasn't really good. He ran inside the top 10 a little bit after he got those tires, but then still, air quote, faded to 12th. He just somehow avoids the incidents. I don't know what it is, but he just avoids the incidents.
That's one more good point there. Tires mattered at the end of that race.
Yeah.
And, oh, man, if Atlanta starts what if we start getting significant tire wear at Atlanta too, and then you throw in that type of racing with significant tire wear?
I actually think it'll become really bad, and you'd almost have to go back to old Atlanta
to repaving it.
Point. No, or to a repavement to keep, the current style of racing. But I don't think tire wear and that kind of racing is going to match well, like high tire wear. I'm talking,
right?
Because you're going to get the separation, and the separation is going to matter more than the draft. You're going to lose speeds too much, and it's just, I would love to be wrong and it be like the coolest racing in the history of planet Earth, and that's certainly within the range of outcomes. I don't know what a drafting package with a high tire wear is going to do, but I just feel like it'll just kind of create old Atlanta, but worse, even worse. Like, old Atlanta was good when it was we all remember 2001 to 3 to 5 or what Atlanta, but that was low tire wear Atlanta. I'm talking the very tail end of Atlanta's life was actually really bad, but it was the years before the very tail end where it was high tire wear, but not overly high tire wear, where that was exciting. But the very last 3 or 4 or 5 years, and I saw some tweets about this from, a couple people, that they forgot, the rest of NASCAR Twitter forgot how bad the last couple of years of Atlanta was. And I didn't. I fully agreed with that. The last 2 or 3 years of Atlanta was pure dog shit. There was nothing that happened in those races. You didn't even pass.
You're talking the years when Larson would win by 25 seconds.
Yeah,
those races.
But there was no passing, not because of anything other than everybody's still going through the tire wear, but there's just no cautions because everybody's going so slow because of their tires wearing that you're never on the edge. You might have tire wear, but you're not actually on the aerodynamic edge. There's no controllability issues. So everything was just boring. And I don't know what would happen if all of a sudden you're at 200 less horsepower and a drag on your car as well. That might be the most boring racing of all time ever in the history of planet Earth. Or it could be the coolest. I don't know. Has a wide range.
We just don't know. One last question before we move on to COTA. Obviously NASCAR and who owns Atlanta? SMI nailed this new Atlanta. Do we need a second Atlanta? No.
I actually think people are shitting on Texas way too much. Texas has been kind of interesting.
I agree. Texas, that first year, sucked.
Yeah, first year or two was horrible, but the last few years have been decent. 2 or 3 years have been decent. It's still really hard to pass, but you can, and it creates a lot of incidents, which I think people find fun. Creates a little drama. I don't think we need another. We have 4 classic drafting races, and now we have 2 of this new style drafting.
6 out of 36 is pretty good. We saw what happened when we had too many.
Yeah, I don't want more races that brings the skill level together. I mean, I don't want to sit here and act like Zane Smith should be 5th in the points over the season. And if we're going to add more races, that just gives more opportunity for Zane Smith to be 5th in points over the season. Not saying he's bad. It's just a raw fact that his equipment over the course of normal races isn't going to be as good. But if we add more of these in, that's just going to bring things closer together, which I guess maybe people like, but then what's the whole point in the 36 points season that you were arguing for, or the things like that, if all of a sudden you want to just bring the skill gap out of it?
Mm-hmm. I think we saw what, like for a while there, road courses were very good and NASCAR went overboard. What was it?
Yes. 6 races.
A fourth of the
5. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're taking it off. I agree with you. I don't think we need a second Atlanta. Do I wish Atlanta maybe had a third race and we took one away from Daytona or Talladega? Maybe. I could be convinced of that one.
I could be convinced of that if we have the fuel saving shit we have. But if we fix the fuel saving shit, no.
Yeah, absolutely. Contingent on that. If they fix the fuel saving, 100% keep them.
I mean, I would rather have, one Atlanta and 2 Poconos.
God, you had to throw that in there. But no, I'm to the point right now with where Daytona is in its current state that I would rather the Daytona 500 be at Atlanta than at Daytona, which I know is gonna get some head spinning.
I actually think that's 100% correct.
Imagine the Daytona 500 on that racetrack.
In terms of prestige, I think just like we saw at Atlanta this past weekend, there is more of a skill and equipment gap, which should be more prestigious than pure chaos. Everybody's equal. I completely agree with you on that front.
I'm on board.
And the good thing is Tyler Reddick won both of them, so it don't matter this year.
Exactly. But yeah, that's where I'm at with Atlanta. It is that much better than Daytona and Talladega.
100%. And see, that's the thing. Daytona used to be like that. You used to have the big names and a few underdogs mixing up at the front, and it was really kind of skill based and get your runs. And it's not that it's not skill based. It's just way less, and it's not as prestigious in terms of, oh, I beat the field. Whereas like back in the early 2000s, you could say, yeah, I beat the field.
Mm-hmm. For sure. All right. On to COTA. Circuit of the Americas, first road course race of the season coming up this Sunday. SVG opens the favorite. He's even money at most books. Maybe you can get him at like plus 110 somewhere. I haven't looked fully, but question right off the bat here. SVG doesn't have good finishes last 2 years at COTA. Should he be the opening favorite? And I don't think I could hear any argument that would change my mind why SVG should not be the favorite heading into this race weekend. I can hear it, but I don't know if I could accept it.
Here's my points for why he should be the favorite. If we look at his first COTA race, he was racing with Colleague, which is not as strong as Trackhouse. Yes, AJ Allmendinger does great things that Colleague, but he has not essentially been in a race contending winning driver outside of the Roval for Colleague. Last year was his first full-time Trackhouse road course race. They figured some stuff out, and then he dominated the rest of the season. He absolutely should be the favorite. There's not a question. And maybe some drivers are, and I'm not saying maybe because I'm actually struggling with this a little bit. You know, I've revamped and rebuilt my model this offseason, and my model is, I don't believe, is pulling in enough track-specific history for COTA. But even knowing that, SVG is so far ahead of the field in my model that it would still bring him down to just being a decent favorite instead of a big favorite in my model. Because right now, in the current version of my model, he's around a 32.5% to win, which is not even money. But the next drivers are in the low teens or high single digits, right? Your Zillishes, your Christopher Bells, those kinds of drivers, William Byrons, those drivers are in such a tier below him that even if I pulled in track history, which 2 races for SVG doesn't really mean anything because you kind of need to regress things for sample size and regress things to what we call priors, statistical priors. Like SVG would still get regressed to like a really damn good driver. It just wouldn't be like the 5 straight wins driver that he was. It would just be still the best in the field. Absolutely, he should be the favorite at COTA. It's not even close.
And here's the thing. I understand he finished 6th last year, but let's not forget he led 23 laps in that race. Kyle Busch led the most at 42. SVG had the 2nd best driver rating. Yeah, he didn't win. He didn't dominate like he did at the other road course races, but holy shit. Like he was in a league of his own in every
it's not even
other
close.
road course race.
Not even close. I revamped everything this offseason. I have flags for everything. Like the most unbelievable flags data of all time. SVG was 15 percentile points on a scale of 0 to 1. So 0.15 ahead of the next best driver. And that includes his COTA race where, again, he wasn't the best. You know who was number 1 in flags last year? I texted you or I messaged you this, so you know. But do you, the audience, know who was number 1 in both speed and quantile flags last year at COTA?
And this is something I shouldn't know because it's going to affect my thinking, fantasy and betting wise this week. And then I know I'm going to be disappointed.
Same. Connor Zilish. He was number 1.
Zilish, not KB.
Nope, not KB. Connor Zilish was because remember, it's only on healthy car laps. We don't count laps after they got appreciable damage. Connor Zilish had an appreciable damage end of the race. He was number 1 in flags when he was healthy car.
And that's why, that's part of the reason why Zilish is the 2nd favorite heading into this race.
He should be. Yeah.
Yeah. Now the question is, does that open up enough value on guys like Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, who won here at COTA before, to bet on them? Or my personal choice here at road course, I don't bet winners at road courses because it's SVG is just so much ahead of everybody else. And I just get frustrated. But I do know a few people I've seen on Twitter that have significant bets on Connor Zilish at plus 550. Best you can get him out now is 5 to 1. But then it goes to, like Bell's sitting at 12 to 1. Reddick's sitting at 16 to 1. Larson 22 to 1. Chase Elliott 22 to 1. I mean, is there value in these other good road course racers that if SVG would have any sort of issue, could potentially win?
Yes, 100% absolutely yes. SVG is overblown in the market. Like I said, I'm around 32.5% on him. Connor Zilish, I'm still playing with the things because, like I said, I don't think it's pulling in track history enough for certain drivers. So I think it was a little high on Zilish at 15%. But even then, that's not plus 550. That's like plus 567 is fair. And then Bell is just around 10, slightly below 10%. But that makes him value at 12 to 1. And then some of these mid-tier drivers, I shouldn't say mid-tier because they're not, but like an AJ Allmendinger at 30 to 1 is showing value for me. He's been really good at COTA. He's had really bad results. And I think you need to focus on the fact he's been really good at COTA more than the final results because things happen. We remember some of those COTA shit shows, and now we're on the shorter version of COTA. So that's hard to model and account for. But yeah, I think there's some value floating out there. It's really hard to quantify it because of the change to COTA. Remember, we're still only on year 2 of the current layout of COTA. So you also can't say like, well, SVG was bad on COTA 2 years ago. Well, it's a different COTA. Half the track is gone, right? Yeah. Like half the track on that is gone. So it's really hard to predict this weekend. And I'm 100% sure I'm going to be incredibly conservative this weekend. I said I was going to be for Atlanta, and I was up until race day when they floated all these shit long top 10s. And somehow, despite a 10 caution red flag race, none of my top 10s hit. which is really annoying because all my drivers got swept up in all the cautions. But like, I still would make those bets again, just on the top 10s. Maybe not some of the other ones I made, but especially as we talk about the stratification in Atlanta that we've seen. But you'd think if you see a 10 or 11 caution and a red flag super speedway race, those 6, 7, 1 top 10s are going to be hitting more often than not, or at least enough to make you more profitable more often than not. But didn't happen. But what I'm saying is, like, I feel like I'm going to be incredibly conservative this weekend at COTA because we have other factors. New Chevy body. How is that going to play at a road course? We just don't know. We don't know.
We and here's the thing. I think betting against SVG at a road course all comes down to your risk tolerance, because it opens up the door for a huge day. But it's going to be a shit day if everything goes as it should.
Mm-hmm.
And for the last 5 road course races, everything has gone as it should for SVG.
Yeah.
He's won the last 5 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
So that's to me, that's how you need to bet these road courses is.
Well, another way to bet these road courses with SVG, and you saw me do this like 3 times last year, I think. Just get a free case of Tecate. Find a book that has a no and find a book that has a yes. Yeah. That gives you an arbitrage, and make $30 and buy a case of beer. That's what I would do. So that's my goal. And with the prediction markets, like Kalshi and all those others, you can have more no options now these days if you're signed up for those. I know you don't necessarily have access to it, but I don't know if you can drive across the state line and have access to it. But that kind of
looked into that yet.
Yeah, but that kind of stuff, like with the prediction markets blowing up like they are, there will be more no markets out there. Caesars is offering no's. I bet MGM offered SVG versus the field in pretty much every road course race last year. If you have Circa, they're offering no's, right? Like, find an arbitrage if you want to take an SVG position. And that's pretty much all I can say about that. Like, I have Kalshi. I was talking with, of course, Jim Sonis from FanDuel and stuff, but we're comparing models and all these different things, but for me, having SVG at 32.5%, and Greg posted in the Action Network Discord, he's at like 31% on SVG, and Jim is in the high 30%. You get the idea. None of us are cracking 40% on SVG, and you get him at Kalshi for 55 cents, which is essentially, a slight favorite to win, but for the no, I should say. So a slight underdog to win, to not be the winner or whatever. Still at 32.5%, that's like massive value. So, I love it.
Here's a question for you, Nick. Will last year's race flags be posted on Action along with practice flags?
I didn't think about that. I was thinking about, right. So after COTA, posting COTA race flags from this year so that you have it for the upcoming races. And of course, after practice, posting the practice flags. I didn't think about that, but that's actually a good point. I might have to add that in. TBD, but I think that'll probably end up being a yes. I'll just have to figure out, because for me, it's still college basketball season as well, so I still have to do that stuff. But I mean, it's as simple as just dropping a table in. I just don't want to create a whole nother article just to have it be a table. So I might have to work it into a midweek picks article or a weekend picks article or something like that. Well, TBD, but excellent idea. But then the only thing, my only pushback would be, why just last year? Why not the last 3 or 5 or 7 years? But that becomes a lot more work and more bandwidth than can be done. So it's a fantastic idea. I don't. What I really should post and is what goes into my model, which is not last year's flags. It's essentially the expected flags of the driver, which is what we call Bayesian updating, right? As they accumulate more and more data, they move away from field averages or even elite driver averages into their own average and say, like, okay, here's SVG's Bayesian flags, which takes all his flags from past road courses, or all his flag. You could do a track type flags or a track specific flags, Bayesian versions. That's what I really would be posting if I wanted y'all to hack my models, but I don't want y'all to hack my models.
Sorry if I seemed a little out of it these past couple minutes. I have a bet. I placed a bet. I just said how I'm going to be conservative this week and not bet, but I saw someone for a top 10 finish at 9-1 odds who finished 10th at COTA last year, 10th at COTA in 2023. He's finished 18th or better in 6 of the last 10 road course races. Todd Gilliland, 9-1, top 10 finish, locked in.
Let me see what my model has. And this might be the whole, I think the model isn't weighting track history enough, but let me see what it has. Let me see what it has.
And some of this is wanting to repeat.
You said 9-1?
Remember? Yeah.
14.7%. Let's go. Wow. All right. What book
I'm on Gilly for COTA for the second year in a row. If you remember back last year, I think I got him, I want to say 9-1 on race day for a top 10. He finished 10th after starting 10th. So Gilly, bring it home for me. I believe in you.
Oh, 9-1 at Caesars. Wow.
Yeah.
I was going to say, those other books are 5-1.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry it moved to 750.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'm not taking it. That's how it goes.
But there's so you mentioned AJ Allmendinger. He's at plus 125 for a top 10.
So
Mr. Top 10 himself, Chris Buescher at road courses is plus 145.
Well, okay. So give me just a second because DraftKings has top 10s up. It's not showing up at action for some reason. Gilly's 9-1 at DraftKings. So if you didn't get Jordan's at Caesars, there's 9-1 at DraftKings still. You mentioned AJ Allmendinger. Is that what you said?
Yep.
He's plus 145 at DraftKings.
There. Okay.
I have him 45.8%. Now, again, this is not with my most perfect model, but it's with a very good model. I'm still trying to suss out a little bit of the track specific stuff, but I mean, we're talking a 99.5% model, so it's only going to move a tiny bit. It's mostly just boost like a William Byron, essentially, or a couple drivers have really good track history, and Alex Bowman, let's say, because it's finding that global stuff. You can find like certain drivers are good at certain tracks, but it gets washed out by all the other drivers that it doesn't matter what track they're racing at. They're just going to be in their little bubble on road courses and things like that. So it's hard to like suss out that very specific noise or signal from the noise, I should say. Even if it even is signal, it might not be. It might just be they had really good runs like 3 or 4 years in a row, and we'll roll back to road course averages or these other kinds of things. But Allmendinger definitely a value at plus 145 at DraftKings by my model. I wouldn't think anything changes that, especially because he's been really good at COTA. And then the other one you mentioned was Buescher?
Chris Buescher plus 145.
Yeah, plus 145 is close. I have him 42.5%, which is pretty much break even. 1 divided by 0.425 minus 1. Yep. You said plus 145. I have plus 135 is fair. So it's like the tiniest value. And the problem is you're sticking in a Connor Zilisch into the mix. And COTA, we've seen the Ross Chastains, the Alex Bowmans, the really pop here. Your Chase Briscoes, right? Like, we're not talking the Chris Buescher of 3 years ago where the pool was a little worse. We're talking about the pool is a lot better now, specifically at this track too.
I will note though, one thing. I mean, I'm always going to be a big Buescher fan on road courses.
Of course, because he's good.
He's won me so much money, and that's why. He did finish top 5 the last 2 road course races of the year last year. Hasn't finished worse than 8th here at COTA the last 3 starts. Obviously, different track type, but But yeah, I'm with you on. I just hate betting Allmendinger, but he has been really good here when he doesn't wreck out.
Oh, he's been phenomenal. He's essentially been a top 6 car every single COTA race.
Yeah. It's just whether it's risky or if there's too much.
Ross dumped him for the win.
Yes.
Ross straight up dumped him for the win. But again, we're talking full COTA, not half COTA.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like makes me want to bet even less. But to be fair, full COTA correlated pretty strongly with half COTA as well.
All right, so we talked about SVG being the favorite, Zilish being up there. Anybody, I don't want to say like an underdog, but could you see like a Ross Chastain? What about a Ty Gibbs? Ty Gibbs is sitting out there 35-1. You know, heading into last year, we were talking about Gibbs potentially being one of the best road course racers in the series. Does he get back to that throne or near throne?
Tough to say. I mean, again, I'm still iterating on the absolute best version of my model because I don't think it's handling track specific stuff enough very well. But that's just for this race. Like I think in other races, it'll handle track specific stuff fine. I think the issue is it's not handling track specific stuff for road courses very well because road courses are so sparse. You know, the data is sparse. We only race COTA once a year. There's only 6 road courses. Whereas we race, you know, the standard intermediate ovals 10 times a year, 12 times a year. And some of them we visit twice. So like there's more data behind a lot of these track specific things at these ovals. And even if you say like similarity scores, like what's similar to Las Vegas, well, Kansas is. So my model's pulling in similarity scores. Nothing's really similar to COTA. So like it's incredibly sparse. So I'm having a sparsity issue with my model, which I think is the only weird thing in the whole development because everything else is just fucking phenomenal. But I'm not there on Ty Gibbs. Like my version A and my version B have him at 2.9 and 2.6% to win, which isn't quite there. But you mentioned a couple other drivers. I think you mentioned Ross Chastain. I have a 2.8 and a 2.3. So essentially the same thing as Gibbs. It's just the SVG, the Bell, the Zilish factor is so dominant, right? I mean, these guys in Model 1 are taking up 50% win probability, and in Model version 2 are taking up 55% win probability. That it's just like all of a sudden you're splitting 50% win probability or 45% win probability against 34 other drivers. So if you take, you know, all of that, let's say 45% divided by 34, that's just barely over 1% per driver. Now, a lot of them have 0%, like your Cody Wares and stuff. But even the ones that do have win probability, all of a sudden they're just essentially capped between like 2 and 5%. And the 5% are going to be your Reddicks, your Byrons, your Larsons, your Elliots, your Briscoes, and your 3% are going to be your McDowells, your Bushers, your Rosses touching 3. Your Allmendinger will be between 3 and 5. You know, those kinds of guys. And then your 2%ers are going to be your Bowmans, your Gibbs, those kinds of guys. So it's just hard to get beyond that no matter what I do with the model, even if I include track history more.
One guy that I didn't hear you mention,
who's going to be in your 2.5%, if that's what you're thinking.
Arguably had the best car last year. He has a runner-up finish here before. Kyle Busch.
Yeah, no, he's absolutely in there. I accidentally didn't mention him, but
okay,
he's in that.
Yeah, okay. So here's a really good question. Curious if there's any value in the top Chevy market behind SVG and Zilish parlay of some of these other Chevys with the more predictable Ford or Toyotas would pay good.
What's more predictable about Ford or Toyota is my question.
Maybe like a Busher. I think Busher's the heavy.
But didn't you just say Gilly is like a bet? I mean, How is the 27th or whatever ranked guy? Yeah, 27th in both of my versions of the model ranked guy more predictable finishing in the top 10 the last couple of years, right? Like it's road courses. Road courses are noisy. There's also going to be different. Well, I wouldn't say in this race, but later road course races are going to be different strategies compared to years past.
I also like, if anything, Chevy is more predictable, right? Because it's SVG and Zillish. But like Toyota, I couldn't, like, looking at DraftKings right now, top Toyota, Bell is at plus 135, Reddick's at plus 300, Briscoe plus 380, and Gibbs plus 750. I wouldn't be surprised if any of them outright won it without any of the other ones having issues.
Bubba Wallace started second at COTA last year on qualifying pace. They had qualifying last year. He started second. You know, he started next to Tyler Reddick first. And who's first and second in the point standings? Reddick and Bubba. I mean, plus we've seen fucking chaotic COTA races. I know we're on the half track, but we still have that first turn, which can be just an absolute shit show. If we get a late caution and then we just get shit show after shit show after shit show in the first corner to not get the green, white checkered every single time, you go into multiple overtimes. Like this race has the potential to just be chaotic as hell as well. It could also be nice and orderly, like it was relatively speaking last year or maybe 2 years ago. But this race also has the potential to be an absolute holy shit show, depending on when that last caution falls.
So looking at the top Chevys and stuff last year, Buescher was the top Ford at COTA last year. Mm-hmm. Noah Gragson was second, right behind him in 8th place, and then Gilly.
Yeah.
But,
which is not predictable, right? Like nobody would ever peg Noah Gragson as the second Ford.
Here's a parlay for you. And this is just, I don't recommend betting this. I just think for fun. Kyle Busch, top Chevy, Ty Gibbs, top Toyota, Todd Gilliland, top Ford, $10 pays $57,000. There's my parlay for the week.
I like Alex Bowman at 28. Dinger at 25.
Dinger could be better than Busch.
Custer at 250. I mean, we know he's good at road courses. What does my model have on Cole Custer top Chevy? Let's see. Because I already have it run. 0.5%. So 200 to 1. Yeah, what's the other model have on him? Like the two I'm debating between for now, just depending on like weighing track history. Okay, 0.3%, so 300 something to 1. So maybe not Custer, but like let me come up to Alex Bowman. 3.7 in one and 3 in the other. So maybe not quite at 28. Honestly, this market's not set horribly. It's not set horribly. SVG is just so dominant. Plus, they take their juice out, right? So I have SVG 39.5% and 38.5% in my two versions that I currently have as my best options for top Chevy. And then I have Zillish at 17% and wait, that's the same one. The other one's much lower at like 10.4, but you get the idea. They combine for at minimum 48.8%. Zillish makes sense. He has a wider range of like what could happen in the model because he has less history. You know what I mean? Whereas SVG is pretty much locked in at like 38, 39% to be top Chevy, but Zillish can vary because depending on how you weigh certain data points. But still he's between like 10 and 15% for top Chevy. So it's tough. It's 10 and 17%. So it's tough out there. If you're trying to do these manufacturer parlays, because those guys are taking up huge probability to be top manufacturer.
When we think about a Daniel Suarez sitting at 50-1 for top Chevy, I am curious to see, because obviously he had Trackhouse equipment last year, the best road course equipment out there. Finished 7th at Charlotte Roval, 7th at Watkins Glen. We've seen him run really well at COTA. He's never gotten a good finish here.
Yep.
We know that he can race well on road courses. We know that McDowell had really good cars at road courses last year for Spire. Hocevar had some speed at road courses, but he's also just a fucking wrecking ball. Daniel Suarez is one that I don't know what to think, but like he could be one that if SVG and Zilish take each other out on lap 2, I wouldn't be surprised if Daniel Suarez ends up top Chevy.
I totally agree with you. And in what I'm favoring as my more favored model right now of the two that I have, well, hold on. Was I clicking on the wrong thing? Yeah, I mean, I have Suarez at 3%, 3.2% top Chevy, and I have McDowell at 6.2%. And then the other model, I have McDowell at 6.7%. So like McDowell's sitting there at 28-1 top Chevy. Maybe he's the one, right?
And that's the thing about these road courses is, you can make a case for so many of the guys.
Yeah, because my model adjusts the fact that Daniel Suarez has gone from Trackhouse to Spire. And that's like I said, a solid downgrade. I think we talked about it last week. It's something like in percentile, it's 7, 8, 9 percentile. But in terms of like speed, that's a big drop in speed to go from Trackhouse to Spire. At a road course, maybe not necessarily at certain other tracks, but at a road course, it's a big difference in speed. We saw McDowell was not as effective at road courses last year as he was in that front row motorsports stuff, which somehow he was miraculously amazing at. But point stands, maybe McDowell is the one to bet because I have him double Suarez's percentage and their teammates. Like when you count for the fact that Suarez was in Trackhouse equipment, he wasn't as good as it seemed because Trackhouse is really good at road courses.
Agree with you. I did not realize Alex Bowman was so good here.
Oh, he's phenomenal here. And that's the one thing. Like I'm struggling with Alex Bowman and William Byron not being high enough in my model. Those two are not high enough in my model. And it's pissing me off because they should be. They should be higher because they're both really good here. But that's the whole okay, well, you have a couple outliers like Bowman or Byron that run insanely well here, but then at all the other road course races, they run their road course average. How do you suss that out for a few standouts or a few non-standout, the opposite of standout, whatever it is, like really shitty at a certain track, but it doesn't largely affect the rest of the general population. And it doesn't affect the rest of the general population at most of the other road courses either, even more so to a degree where it doesn't affect them. So that's like the biggest thing I'm struggling with. And it's specifically a road course issue with my model right now. So yeah, there's some competing interests and I don't really know what to say, but I agree with you. Byron and Bowman have been phenomenal here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, I did not realize and for those, I mean, just looking at finishes, Bowman 9th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and 8th in the 5 COTA races. Just stand out for sure.
I've always been Bowman at COTA guy for years, 2-3 years now that we've watched his performances, and Byron the last 3 years, I think has 3 straight top 5s or something. So
yeah. And one more guy that we haven't spent a ton of time talking about, 4 straight top 5s here, including a win. Does Tyler Reddick go 3 for 3 this weekend?
Yeah. And Chase Briscoe is really good here. If you look, not necessarily at finishing results, but speed. If you look at speed, Chase Briscoe is so good here. So there's a lot of drivers that stand out at COTA, but the problem is they all stand out, and then they dilute each other. Ty Gibbs, Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, Chase Briscoe, Alex Bowman, William Byron, right? Like, they can't all be top 5 with SVG and a Zilish and a Bell. And then randomly throw in your Elliots or your Larsons or your McDowells or your Bushers or your Chastains or your Gibbs or your Kyle Bushes, your Gillens, right? Like, the series is just insanely competitive. That's why it's so hard to be extremely confident on drivers, which is why you need to play safer avenues like top 10s and something like this, I think. Whereas, because this race, while it can get chaotic, is less chaotic than a super speedway race. I mean, you look at the average DNF rate, my model's spitting out here, it's around 10%. Whereas super speedways, Atlanta was like 32%. Daytona was 42%. So it's harder to say, okay, well, there's gonna be a lot of chaos here, which favors predictability. But at the same time, road courses do have their natural unpredictability of strategy and late race cautions and those kinds of things. So yeah, I just don't feel like I'm going to bet a lot here.
Yeah, I don't think I am either, but you never know how the race weekend will go. I like I said, top 10. I'm all in on Gilly, 9-1. Went over that before, but that's just that was more betting with my heart than my head.
I mean, hey, like I said, have value on it in the model.
Well, and you look at the last. Let me see here. The last 2 seasons of road course races and street course races, 17 of them. Gilly has 4 top 10s.
Yeah,
so that's enough for me to bet him 9-1.
Absolutely, completely agree. The more we talk about this, the more I'm favoring this second model of mine. I'm just going to call that my model. I'm closing out the other one because that's the one with Gilly at 14.7%. The other one's closer to 10%, which is still fine at 9-1. It's essentially break even. But this one also has more uncertainty on Zilish. Instead of at 15%, he's closer to Bell, which I actually agree with. I think there's enough uncertainty on Zilish. I don't think I should have him 15% to win. This one has Byron higher. The only issue is it doesn't really boost Bowman enough, but by and large, I mean, I'm looking at a model that eyeball test looks better. And I'm not going by the eyeball test. I'm trying to go by like what makes the most statistical sense. It's just really hard to suss out signal versus noise in small sample sizes.
Mm-hmm. All right. You have anything else for COTA?
I think we should get to our picks and stuff.
Don't remind me how bad I've been doing at 36 for 36 to start the year. But first, our picks to win.
Come on. Cody Ware wasn't a bad pick for Daytona. He did fine.
That's true. I'll take that. But I got 1 point out of Stenhouse at Atlanta.
Yeah, that was a disaster.
Fucking stupid. All right. All right. Picks to win. You had Larson last week, who, like I said, led the second most laps. And then
it was a good pick. It didn't work out because Larson is an idiot.
Larson is Larson.
Forgot about the idiot factor.
Yeah. I had Chase Elliott, who came home with an 11th place finish. So 2 weeks in, our best choice so far is you with Bubba Wallace in his 10th place finish at Daytona. My turn to go first. I mean, SVG is going to win it. I can see the other avenues of him not, but there is no way I'm picking against SVG heading into the race weekend.
I'm going to go game theory here and take Christopher Bell because what if for some reason the new Chevy body is just dog shit on road courses? It's
possible.
It's
I'm surprised you go Bell over Reddick though.
Bell won last year. Bell finished second the year before and should have won if Ty Gibbs hadn't blocked his ass.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that race.
Bell should essentially be its 2-time straight winner.
That's a good point. But so he was coming late that year, and then last year he didn't show up till late. I feel like that's kind of what Bell's doing.
Last year, no, it was like a strategy thing where he was off strategy, and so he had a super fast car because he was
it?
Yeah. Either way, I'm
Like,
going Bell.
okay. I mean, I don't hate the pick at all. As much as I dislike Bell, I think I
don't
bet
like
him
him
last
either.
year.
Oh, you met him?
But
Yeah.
no, I bet him.
Oh, bet him. I thought you said you met him last year. I was like, damn.
No, if I bet him, I would straight up tell him to his face he's dead to me.
I love it. I love it. Would you tell that to Zane Smith?
Oh, 100%. I would bring a shovel. I'd go into the front row section and like I'd be like, "Oh, Gilly, you're my favorite driver. Fuck you, Zane. You're dead to me."
But I still like you as a person.
Yeah, exactly. But like from a betting or everything perspective, I hate you. Now the real question is though, how the hell do we attack this race from a 36 for 36 perspective? Because are they going to be going for stage points? Are they going for the optimal strategy to win? And that, as much as we don't want to say that's a factor in 36 for 36, it definitely is, because you're trying to maximize points here. It's not necessarily about picking the winner, although that definitely helps with the amount of win or the points you get for the wins. By the way, after 2 weeks, I have 21 points and you have 67. You are,
I got so lucky, man. So lucky with Herbst and Suarez.
I should have just copied you on the Suarez pick last week, man. You are third in our league, along with 4 other people. I Exist 4 is number 1 with 73 points, and Bob Pocker's fan club, awesome username there, is at 70. You have 67. I wish they could show you what each team picked. Please add that next year.
God, that would be such a great feature, because then it'd be like, oh, well, that guy had Bubba Wallace and Tyler Reddick, so now I don't feel so bad.
And it would, like, I feel like it should, I don't know, maybe they want it hidden so people can't strategically, like, obviously
you should have that as an option in your league settings.
Yeah, I agree.
See other users' picks as an option in your league settings.
Yeah. All right. I don't know what to do. I think I'm just going to go SVG and call it a day. And I don't know. Gosh, now I don't know what I want to do. Actually, you know what I'm going to do?
Yes, I know what you're going to do.
What do you think I'm going to do?
Bowman.
So you read my mind. Yep. I'm going Bowman. All right. Alex Bowman.
So that's the thing about Bowman, is I feel like you have to use them at a road course or a couple very specific tracks.
Now, part of me also wants to go Ty Gibbs. Man, I don't know what to do.
Literally just say the other guy that is exactly that is Ty Gibbs.
Because I want to get him out of the way early.
I know. But the only other thing about getting out of the way early is, what if he actually does improve to the Ty Gibbs we all thought we knew?
That's valid. And honestly, what about, I mean, I don't want to take Gilly here, but certainly on the table to taking Gilly. If he can pull off another top 10.
Especially after seeing Atlanta. Seeing the Atlanta stratification is really interesting, because it doesn't make it impossible to take a Gilly, but it makes it a little bit more thoughtful to take a Gilly at an Atlanta 2 or something.
Right. I agree.
Yeah, no, this is tough, because you want a guy that'll have a chance to pop and doesn't have many other chances to pop.
All right, I'm switching. I'm going Gibbs. Final answer.
Wow. Okay. Pressure's on now because I actually was thinking I was going to go Gibbs. So the question is, do I want to stick with that? And I have the perfect answer for that. Let me pull up my Bayesian flags for this race and see what we have for Ty Gibbs versus Alex Bowman on whether I copy you or go differently. Alex Bowman, Ty Gibbs. Bowman wins on track. Ty Gibbs wins on type. So like all road courses. And they win by essentially equal amounts. So my model favors Gibbs because of the whole track thing. But I feel like Gibbs has still been good at this track. All right, I'm going Ty Gibbs too.
No points gained for me this week. Or lost. Most likely lost.
But there's still 60 whatever other people we're competing against.
That's true. No, this is good because you're off to such a hot start. That means I'm going to get some good points under my belt here. And either way, even if we don't, we got our Ty Gibbs pick out of the way. We don't have to worry about,
which feels fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm extremely worried about Alex Bowman this year, just in general, though.
There's too many question marks this early in the season to be confident with 35 or 36
which is
or 36.
Weird to take Ty Gibbs then if there's a lot of question marks, because like if there's a lot of question marks, shouldn't you just take Daniel Suarez? Well, I took Suarez, but you get the idea, right? Like, shouldn't you just take somebody that you know will be fine enough here, like a McDowell?
Busher,
yeah. I don't know. Busher has so many other good tracks, so like Michigan and Dover, Richmond, whatever, Bristol, Kansas.
I don't know. We're hell, you could even, is this the week to take Custer? Okay. I'm done thinking about
it. Cole Custer's honestly really good here. If you want to talk about where he's been good
Don't tell me that.
No. Okay. I'm going to real quick pull up Cole Custer. I know we're on a little time crunch here, but Cole Custer, road courses, 2025 and 6, and track type. Yeah. This is his best road course.
Can I change my pick?
You changed it to Cole Custer?
No. Oh. Man, I'm so all over the place right now. Let me check something real quick. You know who I'm thinking about picking? Is the guy that arguably had the best car here last year.
Kyle Busch. Yeah, but I feel like you can use him a lot of places.
Oh, man, I was just about to pick him. For the sake of being different than you, I'm going Kyle Busch. Final answer, locked in, closing the tab.
Damn. There we go. I'm going Ty Gibbs.
What do you think of this? Zillish plus 255 head-to-head versus SVG.
I don't have my model set up for head-to-heads. I have it set up for win 3, 5, 10 manufacturer because head-to-heads always change every week. So I'd have to build in a specific head-to-head simulator version of it. But I mean, I don't hate it at all.
Say you're getting what, 5-1 for him to beat 5 other drivers. Now you just have to beat one. I mean,
I don't know. I don't have an answer for that right now. There's a lot of uncertainty with Zillish. He was insanely fast here. He was faster than SVG here last year. Same equipment.
And he's looked so comfortable in Cup cars these first 2 weeks.
Yep. Yeah, I like it. Twisted my arm. I'm in.
Sean said he also hit Reddick 20-1 on Circa.
I'm not there. I love Reddick this weekend. One model, I said to close out the other model. Let me open it back up. One model has 3.9, the other has 5 flat, which is essentially break even with 20-1. Yeah, 4 to 5% I'm on Reddick. But again, it's like track history shit. Like maybe I could slightly boost him above 5% if you love his track history, but it's thin value. I don't hate it. Don't hate it. He certainly could go 3 for 3 to start the season here. I might just wait till practice and qualifying a bit.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. We get practice this week. Practice didn't matter at Daytona. We didn't get any practice at Atlanta, and then this week we get practice and qualifying at noon on Saturday. So
a normal like table the DraftKings contest or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to just like set a reminder so we both put one in.
Yeah, because we didn't do this past weekend.
Yeah, and I completely forgot. I'm putting a reminder on my phone that once salaries drop, I'll send you a message and reminder.
Perfect.
Yeah,
that sounds good.
We'll do that. Yeah. All right. Anything else, Nick, before we wrap this one up?
No, I think we're good. We had a good discussion this week. I know there was a lot to talk about.
Oh yeah, I know. Well, there's been the first couple episodes we've been talking about whether we'll have enough to talk about being so early in the week, and I feel like we're doing well so far. So
yeah, just wait until we get to like a race 17, and we're like, God, we have nothing to talk about.
Yeah. All right. Good luck, everybody, at COTA this weekend. Go Kyle Busch, maybe Ty Gibbs, but we all know SVG is going to be the guy to beat, and rightfully so. But see you guys. Good luck.
See ya.